It was one of those quiet mornings that feel almost too perfect to be real. I remember sitting in the kitchen with a cup of coffee, sunlight pouring through the window, and my husband Daniel smiling at me from across the table. We had been married for 7 years. I believed we were happy. We had plans for a new house, maybe even a baby soon. My best friend Clara would often come over on weekends. She was like family. We had known each other since college. She knew everything about me, from my dreams to my fears. I trusted both of them completely. But perfect mornings have a strange way of hiding the storms that are about to come. It started with small things. Daniel became distant. He started coming home late, saying work was hectic. His phone was always face down, and he kept it with him even in the shower. I told myself not to overthink it. After all, every couple goes through rough patches. Then there was Clara. She had started acting odd too. She avoided eye contact, changed the topic whenever Daniel came up, and cancelled our plans often. I brushed it off, thinking she was just busy. One night Daniel said he had to go on a business trip for a few days. Something about a project presentation. I kissed him goodbye and wished him luck. Later that evening, Clara called. She said she was going out of town to visit her aunt. Her story was strangely similar to Daniel's. I felt a sharp sting in my chest, but I forced a smile and wished her a safe trip. 2 days later, I received a call from a friend who worked at a hotel. She said she had seen Daniel there with a woman. At first, I refused to believe it. But curiosity and pain pushed me to go there myself. What I saw broke me completely. Daniel and Clara were sitting together in the hotel lobby, laughing, holding hands, looking like lovers who had no care in the world. My best friend and my husband. My entire world shattered in that moment. I did not confront them right away. I walked out quietly, tears burning my eyes. For days, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying that scene again and again. But after the pain settled, something else took its place. A strange calm. I decided I wouldn't cry anymore. I would not beg or fight. I would let them have their affair, but they would regret betraying me. The first thing I did was visit my lawyer. I didn't tell Daniel. I quietly prepared for divorce. During this process, I discovered something shocking. Daniel had secretly taken money from my inheritance account. $70,000, to be exact. He had moved it to another account under both his and Clara's names. My heart sank. That money was my late father's gift to me. But instead of exploding, I smiled. It was going to be my key to revenge. I confronted Daniel one evening when he came home. I told him I knew everything. He didn't even deny it. He said he had fallen in love with Clara and wanted a divorce. I agreed calmly, surprising him. He looked confused, expecting me to cry or yell. Instead, I said I would give him what he wanted. He left the next day, moving in with Clara. A few days later, I met with my lawyer again. That $70,000 was technically still mine because it came from my inheritance and had been moved without my permission. My lawyer helped me build a case. But instead of reclaiming it right away, I decided to play the long game. I wanted to make sure Daniel and Clara thought they had won. Over the next few months, I reinvented myself. I started a small business selling handmade jewelry online. It was something I had always loved doing but never had time for. At first, it was slow, but I kept going. I poured my anger and heartbreak into every piece I made. Slowly, my business grew. People loved the designs. Orders started coming from all over the country. I even started getting offers from boutiques. Meanwhile, Daniel and Clara's perfect life began to fall apart. They had used most of the $70,000 to rent a luxury apartment and go on expensive vacations. But Daniel lost his job soon after because of some poor decisions. Clara tried to find work, but things didn't go well for her either. They started fighting. Friends told me she often cried about how Daniel had changed. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then came the day of our divorce settlement. Daniel showed up looking worn out. He expected me to demand money or fight for property. But I didn't. I simply handed him the papers, signed, and left without a word. He had no idea that I had already filed a separate claim for the stolen inheritance. A few weeks later, the court ruled in my favor. Every dollar of that $70,000 had to be returned to me. And since Daniel and Clara had spent most of it, their accounts were frozen until repayment. When Daniel called me, begging for time, I felt a strange satisfaction. I told him calmly that he should have thought about that before betraying me. He said Clara had left him, blaming him for everything. I ended the call with a polite goodbye. That money became my seed investment. I expanded my jewelry business into a full brand. I hired 2 artisans, built a website, and started selling internationally. Within a year, I was earning more than Daniel had ever made in his best years. Reporters even did a small feature about my brand in a local magazine. One afternoon, I was at a craft fair displaying my jewelry when I saw Clara. She looked tired, older, and nothing like the confident woman who once stole my husband. She approached me hesitantly, her voice shaking as she congratulated me on my success. I smiled and thanked her politely. Then she said something I'll never forget. She said she regretted everything, that Daniel had left her for another woman, and she wished she could start over. I looked at her for a long moment and said, "You did me a favor. Without you, I'd never have built this life." She nodded silently and walked away. A few months later, Daniel tried to contact me again. He said he wanted to apologize. I agreed to meet him, not because I wanted closure but because I wanted to see the man who once thought I couldn't live without him. He looked older, his confidence gone. He said losing me had been the biggest mistake of his life. I listened quietly and then told him something simple. Sometimes betrayal is a gift. It forces you to find yourself. Then I stood up and walked away, feeling free for the first time in years. Today, my business is thriving. I have opened my own studio and employ several women who, like me, once felt broken. I teach them how to turn their pain into art. The $70,000 that was stolen from me became the foundation of my new fortune. It's strange how life works. What began as betrayal ended as freedom. Looking back, I don't hate Daniel or Clara anymore. They were part of the lesson I needed. Betrayal taught me strength. Loss taught me independence. And revenge, the quiet kind that doesn't destroy but rebuilds, gave me peace. If I could tell my younger self anything, it would be this. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the beginning of something better. Trust the pain, because it's leading you somewhere you're meant to be. And when that moment comes, when you finally rise from the ashes, you'll realize that revenge doesn't always come in anger. Sometimes, it comes in success.